What's up, everybody? DJ Buck back with you as we start a new week. Buck, we get a chance to look back at the first week of the preseason. Man, it was fun to have a full slate of games again. How you doing?
I'm good, DJ. You knock some of the rust off. You calling games and you're looking at all the other stuff in real time. I mean, it started for us on Thursday night. And look, the great thing about the preseason for me is not just the starters playing, but it's all the guys that are kind of wishing on the star, hoping for an opportunity. And so you see some of those guys play, and we'll touch on some of that. But really, it's the rookies. It's the guy that we track the entire process, right? The guys that we talked about, the guys that we're beginning to project on how they're going to play. And even though it's the preseason, it does kind of whet your appetite for what these guys could eventually become down the line.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I love like this morning I got up and then I just put the filter on PFF Ultimate with the video, and I can go through and watch all the rookies. So I just want to watch all those top quarterbacks. I want to see some of these other players that flash. What did they do? How did they look? By the way, Blake Watson, how he went undrafted, the running back out of Memphis, and how Denver got him after the draft. I do not understand that. That's another conversation for another day. But it was starting with the quarterbacks, man. I think that's what we should do today. Let's just dig through what we saw with these rookie quarterbacks, as well as some other observations from around the league. Buck, let's start first of all. Caleb Williams, as much hype and as much attention, Hard Knocks, everything else, all the attention on him the last 2 years in college. It sounds weird to say it in a preseason game. I thought he had a lot of pressure on him to come out there and show that he looked the part, and I thought he absolutely did.
Yeah, he absolutely did. And I would say not only that, I think it's not only a lot of pressure on him, it's a lot of pressure on Shane Waldron because the questions were about, hey, how's he going to get this guy going? Could he unlock Caleb Williams? Could he also unlock all the firepower that he has at his disposal? And you can see really early, even though the backups are in, this offense is dynamic, it's explosive. And I know it's a preseason game, but sometimes, man, just the feel, you can feel that this team has some explosive capabilities. And when you plug all the pieces in place with Caleb Williams kind of directing it, look, the hype is real. He is as advertised, and this offense might be as good, even better than advertised.
It was a small sample size, but I think if you look at Caleb's success, if he's going to be successful, you agree with me on this, but it's going to be that line, right, between the creativity and the recklessness. Like, where do you fall on that line? And I thought, man, like the play to Swift where he just kind of climbs and just kind of flips him the ball, that is a no risk, all reward, like creativity 101. That just showed somebody that kind of, he sees things differently than regular quarterbacks, which makes him so difficult to defend. So it's a low risk play. It's a high reward. It's instinctive. It's creative. It's the preseason, and people go, "Oh, you guys get hurt." No. You can tell if somebody's got some special stuff to them. That, like, just something like that just gives the Bears so much more at their disposal when you can get that type of playmaking ability.
It absolutely does. It just gives them so much that they can do. And we're not used to talking about the Bears being a fun offense to watch, but it can be a lot of fun to watch this offense. And even if they are able to do it, you would like to think that they can do it because their rivals up north in Green Bay have been able to throw the ball all over the yard for the last 30 years and have a lot of success. But for whatever reason, they haven't been able to have like a fun, dynamic offense in Chicago. This year could be the first year that they've had one of those fun that you tune in to watch, see what the Bears are doing, what's the creative stuff that they're doing, while also retaining the physicality and the run game. I mean, on paper, this team can go, and they gave us a little glimpse of what the future could hold with this offense and all the pieces that they have.
Yeah, look, everybody's going to show the boot and the throw on the run to Komet. You're going to see that a bazillion times. Might have been my third favorite throw, just from early on. Like, he throws a curl to get a first down on a third down, and then the little play that he made to Swift. So there's a lot to like. There's a lot to get excited about. It is going to be a fun offense to watch. I do think, to me, I think they showed a good formula there, which is, if you don't just straight drop him back in the pocket, the whole game, get him on the move some, let him get loose, loosen him up a little bit. So I was glad to see, as they're trying to maybe control, to avoid being reckless, that they haven't put him in a box. Like, they're letting him kind of be himself and play like he knows how to play, because that's what makes him special.
That is what makes him special, and that's what you want to see from the young quarterback. We always talked about he's special in his ability to be a gunslinger, but if he ever had enough discipline and patience to play the game the traditional way on most downs, while kind of teasing us with the special stuff, then he would have a chance to quickly become an elite quarterback. And if he masters that, and if he continues to kind of play within the confines of the offense, he's going to be a really good player very early in his career.
We didn't get a lot of Jaden Daniels, but it was good what we saw. A quick drive, got down there and put the ball in the end zone, 2 or 3 45 yards and a rushing touchdown, including a big shot down the field. Buck, what was your early take there?
Well, I thought it was interesting that Dan Quinn compared it to the scene from Top Gun when they asked, "Can I buzz the tower?" Tower. He was like, that shot to De'Ami Brown was him doing a Top Gun thing, asking to buzz the tower. And give him credit. One of the things that we knew about Jaden Daniels, his experience in college was going to help him. And the game looks like a slow motion for him. Didn't get a lot, but DJ, even making that check and delivering a teardrop right in the short pocket. And that's what you want to see early. His confidence, his composure. And as he plays like that, you can feel the team gain confidence in him. And that hope allows you to play a little differently on both sides of the ball. So great drive for him, great effectiveness. And you saw the tools that he brings to the position, which is looks some special stuff.
Yep, but you got to account for him when you get down in the red zone too. Zone read, and he just kind of walks into the end zone. May look real easy. So it wasn't a long exposure to Jaden Daniels, but everything that we've heard coming out of there, talking to folks, talking to buddies there, as well as kind of reading what's going on, it seemed to match what the reports were. We were on the air for Drake May's game. I mean, Buck, he was with 6 snaps, 2 or 3, 19 yards. Again, just barely played in a kind of a monsoon. Took a couple checkdowns there. I think it was a screen, a check down, and then a curl that was a little high. But when I went back and watched the tape this morning, receiver kind of got stuck at the top of his route. Anyways, it wasn't great. I mean, I'm not going to nitpick one of the 3 throws that he made. Kind of an incomplete grade is what I would say. But he looks big. He looks athletic. And I would say I went into that one being a little worried about the support system there. And I know it was a monsoon, but I didn't come out of that watching that game going, man, there are dudes all over the field there for this team. Like they need an influx of some more guys, some interesting young receivers, but to hang your hat on, I don't see a Terry McLaurin out there. I sure as heck don't see Keenan Allen, DJ Moore out there. You can go through all these we're going to go through all these rookie quarterbacks. I mean, you got Justin Jefferson, you've got Drake London, Cortland Sutton. Like he doesn't have the benefits that these other rookies have.
And that's why they need to take their time, because he doesn't have that. And anyone who has been around the program certainly knows that he doesn't have like the high-end playmaker around him to really allow his game to go to another level. And if you don't have that, then you're really dependent on the quarterback to be on point from day one, meaning he has to win understanding and executing a system that creates opportunities for players that may not be like blue chip caliber. That's a lot to ask of a young quarterback. And it's a recipe, not for disaster, but it's a recipe for a lot of frustration. It's a recipe for a lot of mistakes. And you got to make sure that he's wired the right way to handle all those mistakes, because you could lose them and never get them back.
Yeah, I don't know. You have a track background, Buck, so maybe you could answer this. I don't know the preferred lane assignments, but it just feels like you kind of they're all these rookie quarterbacks they're in the same race, competing for the same prize. But I don't love his lane assignment, Buck. So I'm hoping he gets to sit behind Jacoby Brissett for a little bit.
Yeah, he's in lane 1. Real tight turns. He's not really able to stretch out. He sees everyone running ahead of him, and he's trying to make up the stagger, but we just don't know if he's going to make it up. Whereas some guys are way out in front. You look at Caleb Williams. You can put Caleb Williams in lane 8. He's going to be fine because he understands what he has. He understands the assignment. But for Drake May, they just don't have enough. And then when you think about Brandon Ayuk potentially turning down an opportunity to go there.
I know, man. That would have been nice. That would have helped.
That would have helped. They let go Juju Smith-Schuster, older player who had some success early in his career. They just don't have a lot of veteran receivers that you can count on. And without that, I mean, you just talk about a bunch of newbies out there playing. So it could be Sandlot. It looks like a lot of Sandlot ball coming out of New England for the first part of the season.
All right, we touched on the first 3. The next 3, I think, were more interesting because we saw him play a lot. So I think we got a chance to get a better feel. And I'll be honest with you, I was impressed with all 3 and excited to dig into it here. Let's start with Michael Penix Jr. 9 of 16, 104 yards. I won't give you my opinion first, Buck. I don't want to influence the jury here, but let me know what you think.
Well, look, I thought the guy that showed up for the Falcons is the same one that we saw when he was hot at UW.
Mhm.
Like, he didn't change. He's the same big play hunter. He's the same guy that can throw it and rip it when given protection and all of that other stuff. He can do all of those things. And the weapons that the Atlanta Falcons have, you can see where he could jump into this offense and the Lamborghini's going to go. I mean, because he has firepower, he has weapons and those things. I think the big thing that you worried about with Michael Penix when he was coming out is if he gets hit, how is he going to hold up? And can you protect him well enough to allow him to push the ball down the field? Because the way that he plays puts more pressure on the offensive line because they need to block for more time so he can get to the vertical part of the passing tree. If they protect him, though, this dude's a dart thrower from the pocket, and we had a chance to see a little bit of that against the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I just kind of was going through and writing down some words when I was watching him, and I just kept like quiet feet, like just real quiet and calm. His eyes were quick. I thought he saw everything really well. And then the arm, it's like we talked about it in the run up to the draft. I'd use the phrase of the day on TV. Like I would go through my notes and it's just like back foot missiles. Like he can just kind of sit flat footed and just deliver any type of velocity needed to go along with some touch and accuracy. There's a couple balls I thought could have been hauled in, including a deep ball where it didn't really run through it. But man, it was impressive. I was very impressed with how he played. Now, again, the concern or maybe the question or the uncertainty there is maybe in the chaos and the storm and having to move around and getting hit and nicked up and like, okay, well, we saw that at the end of the year. But man, you give him a little bit of time, you invest and give him a pocket. Buck, he is a natural thrower, man. It is pretty.
He is a natural thrower. And that was the thing, DJ. We just talked about how natural he was throughout the process. Most natural deep ball thrower. He's a big play hunter. Yes, he had a lot of firepower around him at UW, but name a great quarterback that gets it done without great playmakers around him. That's part of the job. When you're running the relay race, you got to hand the baton off to some people that are worthy of being able to carry it over the finish line. He does that. And as he settles in and as they give him more reps, you can just see that he is a very mature playmaker. He's very advanced in his thinking and his ability to work through progressions. It's a good problem to have if you're the Atlanta Falcons. You invested a lot in the position, but it appears that you're in good hands with Michael Penix as your backup and your quarterback one of the future.
If you're a Falcon fan who hadn't been to a game in 10 years, take the runner part of it out of it. Like obviously Michael Vick is a runner. He's ridiculous. And Penix is not that type of player. He's a pocket passer. But if you just watch the effort and ease of a left-hander that throws the football, it did kind of remind me of Vick a little bit because Vick could do the same thing. He could just hang there on. I saw him in practice with Philadelphia. He can just hang on his back foot, and the ball is so tight and it's so pretty, man. I don't know. It's something about being lefties. Maybe it's the baseball stuff that I love. Those sweet left-handed swing. King Griffey Jr., Tony Gwynn. Like this, he's got a pretty looking motion, man. It's fun to watch.
It is fun to watch, and it's great to see them kind of push the envelope. I'm looking forward to seeing what Zach Robinson does to expand the playbook to allow these guys to get loose.
Let's take a quick pause here. We come back, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, as well as some other rookies and some other takeaways here early in the preseason. You are listening to Move the Sticks. We will be right back. All right, Buck. J.J. McCarthy. Again, a lot of run. You see the numbers here. 11 of 17 for a $188, 2 touchdowns, did have an interception. Jack Jones made a heck of a play. 2 carries for 18 yards. So your takeaways on J.J. McCarthy.
Hey, man, Jim Harbaugh might have been onto something when he really was effusive in his praise on J.J. McCarthy. Maybe he knew that the offense that they ran up in Michigan didn't fully maximize the talent that J.J. McCarthy possessed and probably frequently displayed in college, in practice. But this dude is really solid, man. And I know we dinged him and Drake May for their lack of experience, but J.J. McCarthy gets it. And quiet feet, his mind was quiet and steady. He looks the part. And I think a lot of what we do is we talk about that blink scouting. Can you just watch the game and does he pop out and does it appear that he has the stuff to be a good one? J.J. McCarthy appears to have the stuff. And, man, you think about the weapons around him, Justin Jefferson being a great route runner, Jordan Addison being a route runner. They're going to have T.J. Hockenson. There are a lot of things set up for him to have success whenever he gets his opportunity to be the quarterback.
There's also one of the biggest takeaways for me, because again, the arm was live. I thought there was the athleticism you saw when he took off and ran a couple times. I thought he overcame, a great play by Jack Jones and kind of learning, which is great, I think, for young quarterbacks preseason. Can you get away with a throw? Couldn't get away with that one. He gets hit and has a ball popped loose. You can nitpick stuff, but overall, all those different things in terms of the arm strength, the athleticism, the touch, the deep ball, all that stuff was great. To me, the most impressive thing, Buck, quarterback coaches, if you've been around them before, they have little quirky phrases that they'll use. One of which is you have to be willing to stand in there and take your medicine. And he got smoked. And Buck, he stared it down, put his feet in the ground, he delivered the ball and took his medicine. Like there is a toughness there that will not only serve him well, but it'll make him popular amongst his teammates. When you have offensive linemen that know, like, hey, we got to be a little bit better on that one. But my man did not take a sack. My man did not try and run out of there and run into a sack. He put his feet in the ground, delivered the ball, and took his medicine.
Underrated part of the position, toughness, mental and physical. Can you bounce back from mistakes, which he had to bounce back from an interception? And can you handle the physical pounding that goes along with playing the position? The number one job that defensive players will talk about when you're dealing with a young quarterback is we got to get to him, touch him up, and see how he responds to physicality. The fact that J.J. McCarthy stood in there, was in the midst of the storm, the eye of the storm. He didn't blink. He didn't fall apart. You got to love that. If you're Kevin O'Connell, you're watching the tape, you love that you saw that from him. And it makes you optimistic that when he gets his chance, he's going to be okay.
Yeah, and just some guys just watch him like he didn't get to quote unquote play quarterback a ton at Michigan. He was a starter, but he wasn't getting a chance to really kind of run the show. That was a good audition, man. That was a lot of work, good reps. Again, 11 of 17, 188 yards, beautiful deep ball down the left sideline. Drove the ball when needed. He looked like an NFL quarterback. Now, I went back. I was curious because I watched Sam. Sam played well too. Sam Darnold looked comfortable. He threw the ball well. One thing about Sam, I'll get back to the rookies here in a second. The one thing that I love about him, and I always loved about it coming out, and I'm hoping that that'll pay off in this offense for Sam, whereas other times it's got him in trouble. But he will step over quarters to pick up dollars now. He is not going to take the underneath stuff that is there. He is a big game hunter back there. I mean, he and the degree of difficulty on some of those throws where you're like, dude, you got a little layup right there. He's nope. I'm gonna take the shot.
Yeah, and look, when you have a quarterback like that, you build your offense and your play calling, like you make it match what he does. You want him to have opportunities to push it down the field, and you know that you're going to sacrifice a little bit in the efficiency, the completion rate. Some of those things are going to go down, but you're going to be rewarded with a number of big plays, provided he just makes good decisions. And you can see the big plays that are there to be made. It's just a matter of can he make good decisions over the course of a 17-week season.
Yep, no doubt. So it'll be interesting to see that offense there in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell. Excited to watch those guys. All right, one more rookie quarterback here, Bo Nix with the Denver Broncos, 15 of 21, 125 yards, a touchdown, 3 carries for 17 yards. Again, a lot of work there for Bo Nix. What'd you see?
Yeah, a lot of work for Bo Nix. And DJ, this seems like it's a quarterback competition that's tilting in Bo Nix's favor.
Inside job?
Is that inside job. Feels like Sean Payton wants to give Bo Nix every opportunity to win the job. May have, and I've done this in classes sometimes. You kind of maybe slide the answers over to make sure it's an open book test, to make sure all you guys have a high grade. He's doing that for Bo Nix. Bo Nix looked like he was very comfortable doing what Sean Payton wanted him to do. We saw him lead the team to 4 scoring drives, 2 field goals, 2 touchdowns. Look, he played like he played at Oregon. He was efficient. He utilized his athleticism. He was tremendous in terms of being a dink and dunk passer and pushing it when he had opportunities. But this is vintage Bo Nix to me. This is the version of Bo Nix that Sean Payton wants and that we will continue to see in Denver as they build this thing out around him. Solid debut performance for the kid.
Yeah, no, I thought showed good comfort there. It was interesting. There's one play they hit kind of little pick route, little wheel route. He's going to be able to deliver on all those game plan plays that Sean Payton's going to dial up on a weekly basis, where they're going to set things up and they're going to be able to attack. And I think he's going to allow, this isn't a knock on Bo, but I think he's going to allow Sean Payton to play quarterback from the sideline. We've talked about that with some quarterbacks. McVay, we've talked about with him in that vein as well. Can you execute my vision for this offense, for this series, for this play? I think he's going to be able to do that. I think Sean Payton's going to be happy with the way he's able to, execute what he sees from the sideline. So I thought that was apparent. There's some things to clean up. He got pushed up in the pocket a few times, kind of running into throws instead of resetting. And again, at Oregon, the ball was coming out so fast that we didn't get it. He didn't get as much work at that. So that's something that as he's reading things out and gets moved around, he's going to have to be a little bit better about getting his feet back in the ground. So there's stuff to work on there. It wasn't, a flawless performance, but they scored points. They moved the football. And again, I think the biggest thing, in my opinion, is just he's going to be able to mesh and marry well with Sean Payton.
Yeah, it's a perfect marriage. And we talked about it. We didn't compare him to Drew Brees, but we could envision him doing Drew Brees-like stuff from the pocket. I think we talked about it on multiple occasions that you could see him in this offense just because it's easier for Sean Payton to build an offense around a talent like Bo Nix because they're comparable in terms of skill set wise to Drew Brees. And that's saying that with the utmost respect for Drew Brees. I think Sean Payton is very comfortable with Bo Nix as a quarterback. And I think we'll continue to see that over the course of the preseason.
Yep, no doubt. So that was a look there at those top quarterbacks. A couple rookies that jumped out. Austin Booker, edge rusher out of Kansas, the Chicago Bears. I think he had 2.5 sacks. When watched that video, he was fun, man. We talked about him a bunch in the run up to the draft. Just hadn't played a lot of snaps, hadn't played a lot of football, but he had that. I literally my comp for him was the Kirkland brand Max Crosby. That was my comparison. Whenever he comes out and then he goes off. So it was kind of good find there for the Bears. And then I would say look, there's more rookies you can jump into, but another one you had Burton from the Bengals out of Alabama, played really well. From
out this way, played at Calabasas High under Curtis Conway. Conway did a good job of getting him ready, even though he bounced around. And it's one that he's another easy one. Both of the guys that you mentioned were easy to predict as preseason darlings. Booker, because of the energy level he played and the fact that his game is a perfect fit for what Eberflus wants to do. And then Jermaine Burton having an opportunity to kind of be that number 3 receiver inside of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. He is going to get a lot of one-on-one coverage, and a lot of slot defenders are going to have a tough time dealing with him because he can twist you in knots with his route running ability and playmaking ability. Really good player. It was good to see him get off to a good start.
Yep. Will Shipley got in the end zone there out of Clemson for the Philadelphia Eagles.
My guy.
Go.
Yeah. One of my favorites.
Yeah, you were in on him. You were definitely in on Will Shipley, which is tough for you to do as a Carolina guy. Any other rookies, Buck, before we get into what you saw in your game with KC and Jacksonville?
No, I think you hit most of them, man. It's just good to see. I would say the one thing that stood out, and we'll talk about this at some point, DJ, the kickoff rule. I don't know what it was like for you when you were watching and calling the game. There was a lot of consternation. There was a lot of tummies turning, what we're going to do. And so in the Jags game, right out the gate, Parker Washington pops the first one for 74 yards.
Wow.
And DJ, you see it and you're like, ooh, this is a problem because it's a wave of blockers and you get past it, it goes. And then you saw in the Tennessee game, their returner got busy on a big return. And I just know how these coaches operate. They coach, I see all this.
Back of the end zone, 30-yard line. Let's go.
We're going to pop this to the 30-yard line. We're not going to deal with it.
Nope.
It's going to be
I wouldn't.
Now, it was interesting. There was a safety in the game that I was at in Jacksonville where the ball bounced in the field of play, went close to the end zone. The returner went into the end zone, grabbed the ball that was out and brought it back in. 2 points.
Yep.
So guys have to be up to date with the rules and those things. So I think you'll see some funny things. But at the end of the day, when the game gets into those critical moments, you can get the ball at the 30 because we can kick it out of the end zone.
Yep, 100%. I think you're going to see a lot of that week one. I think, to me, if I was a head coach, I'd say to my special teams coordinator, I know you got great plans, but I'll tell you what we're going to do. For the first 4 games, we're kicking out of the back of the end zone. Let's pay attention to what's going on around the league, what we like, what we don't like, what would worry us, what could get us in trouble, and then maybe we'll revisit it. We'll revisit it and see maybe we'll get into that quote unquote landing zone which is going to be the name of a lot of fantasy football teams this year.
It will be. Yeah, it's too big of a play. I saw, because early, the first couple games that we watched, DJ, nothing happened. The ball was getting to the 28, 29-yard line. I was like, well, this didn't really produce anything. Then all of a sudden, I don't know if those guys had a chance to look at what happened on Thursday night. They made some adjustments, and we saw guys have huge returns over the course of the weekend. Yeah, it's a matter of time. Once guys kind of figured out and take advantage of some of the rules, you can see more of those returns, and that's why these coaches are going to be like, yeah, we're not playing around. Get the ball.
Yeah, if I was a head coach, my landing zone would be in the third row. That's where my landing zone would be. Because that's where we're kicking that thing. All right, Buck, how about any other takeaways from your game there? Jags, what'd you see?
I would say the Kansas City Chiefs, we talked about the formula, and you've been with Andy Reid. You've worked with him in Philadelphia. He loves to steal those games at the beginning of the year. He's not giving away games. First month of the season, DJ, Pat Mahomes, and crew went right up and down the field. They did a really good job. And then they only got a field goal. But what they were to do, Hollywood Brown, who got hurt in the game, you could just see it, DJ. You could just see the speed. You could see how Pat Mahomes was going to utilize it. They ran the football a little bit, but you don't worry about them. I think on the Jag side, it was good to see a couple of things. Trevor Lawrence was in rhythm early. That's really important because in the red zone last year, they struggled. He had Travis Etienne on a little angle route for a touchdown. And, the Jaguars have spent a lot of money on their own guys this year. They talked about Josh Hines Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Tyson Campbell. They brought in some free agents. Well, DJ, when you start having those big money core guys, you got to get the developmental guys to come. And so the second and third year players that pop, Parker Washington being a guy that stood up and made some plays. They had a guy, Christian Braswell, who made some plays at cornerback. And then Tank Bigsby, who I told you last year was the fantasy darling. He showed
I don't care.
I'm not saying go get on the train. I'm just saying he showed up. Year 2, he made a jump. He showed up. I'm not saying go and fill out your fantasy cards, but
I was way aggressive on that one. Aggressive on that one.
He looked good. He looked good though. He looked good. Got his opportunity to play well.
Yeah. That's good to know. The Chargers and the Seahawks. Chargers offensively just couldn't do anything. They could not move the ball. They couldn't get third down conversions. Easton Stick had a tough one. Joe Alt played, I think, might have played the whole first half. He was good. Chenna Nwosu got into his chest on one. Gave up a little bit of a power rush. Outside of that, really clean. He's going to be a really good player. Steady Eddie. He's freaking huge, man. He just looks so big out there. You got to see the first couple snaps. It was kind of a statement thing. They came out with Jordan McFadden, their guard, in as the 6th offensive lineman. So giving you a little taste there. But they didn't have their backs. So when you don't have, obviously no Herbert, the receivers, you didn't have McConkey. Hopefully he'll be back soon. So again, not a lot of guys out there. Defensively, same thing. Bosa, Mack, Derwin James, some of those guys. So from the Chargers side of things, really the only takeaway I would say is I'd be mildly concerned about the backup quarterback situation. Easton, and I'm sure he'd be the first one to admit he's got to play better than that, because if you have to play with him, you got to have it. You got to have a chance. So he was not great there. On the other side with the Seahawks, Buck, and we talked about it. How long ago? It wasn't that long ago. Or we just talked about the fact that Leslie Frazier mentioned in the secondary and how positive and glowing he was. It's a good group. Reek Woolen looked really good. Really good. Yeah. They've got a chance to be really good on the back end, and they've got a nice wave of rushers up front. They got a lot of depth up front. So I was impressed. Mike McDonald, first game, they were flying around. And then offensively for them, I thought Sam Howell looked fine. He's got a live arm. And PJ Walker was great. He played really well as their 3. That's an enviable situation to have PJ Walker as your 3. I would imagine they'll get some calls on him if they don't want to carry 3.
Yeah, so it's funny, right? So Mike McDonald, that Seahawks defense, and what we thought so it's funny because they were talking about the culture and how Mike McDonald may be a little militaristic. What I loved about Mike McDonald, the things that I heard out of Baltimore, was how he took all of those iterations of the defense, how he organized it, simplified it, and condensed it to make it very digestible to the players, while also making it conceptual where it was easy to build upon the layers. And thinking about the Seattle Seahawks defense, I thought it was a solid foundation in place. They just needed some some extra stuff, right? They need some icing on the cake, some sprinkles, just a little something to dress it up.
Yeah.
Mike McDonald has that. And I will say this, don't underestimate Leslie Frazier's ability to contribute on the defensive side of the ball. He was a really good defense coordinator for a long time. You saw the work that he did in Buffalo. I just think that's a fabulous combination. So I like that. For the Chargers, the way the Chargers play, I think it's akin to cooking in a crock pot. Like it doesn't happen instantaneously. It's a slow, methodical, slow burn. And then you look up after hours like, oh, okay, this is what it looks like. And just watching the rebuild that he's done, Stanford, Michigan, those other places, DJ, it took a while in some of those places for it to latch on, but then when it did, it snowballed, and you saw the masterpiece that came out. It might just be a slow burn for the Chargers early in terms of just embracing a style that's really, I think, radically different than the way that they played previously. Yeah. It may take some time to embrace like that, the physicality and the grind of it, but I think eventually it's going to pay off. And obviously, you need to have your QB1 to be able to really see what they're going to do. But yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, it definitely changes things. I tweeted this out, and just in terms of takeaway from these preseason camps that we get a chance to get out and visit practice, and then just watching not only a game live, but watching a bunch of tape this first week. One thing that jumped out to me, Buck, is we're seeing a lot of nickel blitz. Like, and we've been on this trend for a while in terms of like the days of the little baby nickel in there that's just a little cover guy that's just quick and agile. That's over. You want a guy that can force the run, that can tackle. And now more than ever, just because of all these different fronts and simulated pressures they're bringing, like I'm seeing a ton of nickel blitz. And what I'm seeing is these guys are being coached up. It has definitely been a teaching point. It has to be, because I've seen it everywhere, is that the hands are getting up. I've never seen more secondary rushers get their hands on passes in my life, because forever it's just, hey, head down, eyes on the chest, like you go, like you were going to the quarterback outside shoulder or whatever, so he doesn't roll out, and then you're going at him. Now it's like, hey guys, this league, the ball comes out so fast. Mm-hmm. Think about JJ. Remember JJ Swat? Like, even somebody who was as good a passer as he was, he had an innate feel of like, man, they're going to be conscious about getting the ball out, so I can still impact the game by getting my hands up. Now, I've never seen it this many times between linebackers and secondary rushers, Buck, of get 5-6 yards away from the quarterback and having the instincts and the awareness, pop your hands up in there, and I'm seeing tip passes all over the place.
Yeah, so it's funny, man. Our buddy Greg Schiano used to really drill that a ton at his places. He would always talk about matching the hand. So the guy, as they were rushing, they would match the hand of the quarterback to really
that's a great teaching point.
To be able to enhance their opportunity to bat the ball down. And so those guys were practicing and get it up. And DJ, we talked about interceptions, tips and overthrows. Man, those batted balls, they're scary. I'm sure you as a quarterback, every time the ball is batted up, you don't have any control. You don't have any control. You're like, oh my gosh. And because the way the game is going, these teams are running these quick game and screens and those things, your pass rushers, even the secondary guys, if they're trained to get their hands up and to just tip it and deflect, you can get some turnovers, some easy turnovers off of those deflections.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, just from you going out to camps and being at games and seeing things, if you've seen the same thing. I've just never seen this many balls get tipped up in the air. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's obviously been a concerted effort where people are talking about it. They're talking about, if I can't get to the quarterback, how can I disrupt the rhythm of the passing game? DJ, hands up. Having to make the quarterback throw through the thicket or throw through the trees, hard. It shrinks. Not only, like, you talk about the batted balls, but man, it changes like the trajectory of the throws and all those other things. It becomes challenging. And also, as we're getting more non-prototypical size quarterbacks in the pocket.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Those trees coming off the edges. I think some coaches refer to it as make them throw from the well.
Yep.
Make them throw from the center of the pocket, throw from the well, but they got to throw up over the top of these tall trees. Yeah, you can get some things that impact and disrupt the passing game.
Especially because so many quarterbacks will just replace the blitz. So in other words, wherever that rusher's coming from, they're throwing right into it because they know that's where they've got a matchup. And you got a linebacker trying to get over there. You've got a winner. And now it's like, well, these guys are trained so well, man. You're going to have to navigate around the free rusher. And it does kind of create a wall as you can kind of fan out the protection. You get a free run through, and you get a bunch of big interior guys, edge guys, and now even the guys coming off the corner, when they get their arms up, it makes them play like they're 6'3", 6'4", even they're 5'10". So I think you hit on something there that's fascinating, just about the size of the quarterback, which hasn't been an issue because we've been in the gun, we're getting the ball out quick, and that's kind of negated any advantage of being a big, tall quarterback to be able to hang in there in the pocket, big, strong, sturdy era that we had. I mean, think about it. It was Peyton Manning 6'5", Tom Brady 6'5", Ben Roethlisberger darn near 6'6". Like that era, Phillip Rivers, like that was the era that we just came out of, where all those top guys, Eli Manning, like guys are huge. To now we're playing with, and not all of them are 6 foot, but you're talking about we had a lot of 6'1", 6'2" quarterbacks in this league right now.
Yeah, and it's changing everything. And so we're seeing it happen in games. I'm telling you, man, the prototypes, as the prototypes go, there can be some advantages for the teams that still draft and go after those prototypical guys on the defense.
We both call games for teams that have giants,
giants,
with Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert.
And there's advantages to those guys that can throw over those guys. But then also when you think about building your team defensively, we talk about the long arms and and size and arm length, being able to condense the pocket, collapse the pocket, and get your hands up. Turnovers come when those things happen.
Yeah. Anything else stand out? Anything else you want to get into before we jump out of here, Buck?
No, look, it's a quick turnaround, DJ. It's so hard to believe that we're Monday. We're already going to be covering another game on Thursday. We are in the midst. We are in the mix.
Are we together? We're together on that one.
I don't know. I know.
I'm working Thursday. You working Thursday?
Yeah. I think Thursday the 15th. Yeah, I'm on.
Yep, we'll be together. Get a chance to hang out and watch a ball game, and then we've got our first high school scrimmage Friday. You guys going Friday?
No, I don't think
you're not doing scrimmages, but are you going to do an inter squad? What are you doing?
We did a squad last week. We do like a little game situation scrimmage on Thursday where we kind of run through a game day, go through situations, try and get the substitutions right, all those other things, and then kind of go there.
Yeah, I love it. I think you're smart not doing the scrimmage, man.
Get a little bit. Trying to get to the starting line with everybody. At least try and get to the starting line. You don't know what happens. Try and get to the starting line. Give them a little taste and get going.
And get them out of there. We don't have a big high school either, so I'm like, oh boy, hold your butts. Let's not get anybody hurt out here.
Don't try and win the scrimmage. I learned that. Don't try and win the scrimmage. Get enough work. Get you guys off the field.
Get them out of there. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. We will be back. A couple more episodes coming your way this week. We are in the middle of preseason, and there's nothing better to have football back. Enjoy talking about it. Hope you guys enjoy listening. We'll see you next time right here on Move the Sticks.